You know, I watched the press briefing today when the parents of James Foley issued a statement. His mom, among other things, his mom said, Diane Foley, his mother said, quote, "We've never been prouder of our son Jim. He gave his life trying to expose the world to the suffering of the Syrian people. We beg the kidnappers to spare the lives of the remaining hostages. Like Jim, they are innocents. They have no control over American government policy in Iraq, Syria, or anywhere in the world." And I watched, maybe you did too, the very, very distraught and sad and broken voices of his mother and father. I mean, what a tragic event. I've learned today that the video that they're talking about of their son being decapitated by these terrorists, or this particular terrorist, it was the video part of it was professionally done, deliberately. It was shot in high definition. It was absolutely designed to be probably the most classic example of a terrorist activity that a lot of people have ever seen. And I have to tell you, when I think about the guillotine, it doesn't bother me. When I think about these beheadings, like Daniel Pearl in was it Pakistan, the Wall Street Journal reporter, a few years ago, and now Jim Foley, and there will be more. There will be more of this. And when I think about these individual decapitations, I can't deal with it. I don't know about you. I'm not that immune from the horrifically sick feeling, followed by a kind of rage that wells up inside of me and says, "Just drop a goddamn nuclear bomb on the whole place." I mean, that's how it affects me. Deeply, with a rage that I guess exists inside everybody, unless you're an enlightened individual. I am not an enlightened individual. So I've been dealing in my little personal space, head, self, consciousness, all day with this. The atrocity committed by Rupert Murdoch's newspaper in New York, front page photograph of James Foley right before he was decapitated. There is something wrong, something severely wrong with whoever put that picture. Whoever put that picture on the front of the New York Post is also perfectly capable of beheading somebody. So I'm witnessing this today. Not the video. I would no more look at that video than I would open a vein in my eye. I don't know where it's still available. I don't care. And I'm just thinking about how ill, how sick, how horrifying, how just out of control. And God help me, or somebody, because following on the heels of that, after the immediate horror and revulsion and nausea started to subside, maybe 2 or 3%, I still have it. I started thinking, I don't know how to say this. I told myself I would do it tonight on the program, just to be honest. I've always tried to be honest on this program, no matter when I've done it over the 30 years I've been doing this. Claiming my own racism, displaying my own prejudices, So I guess I just have to go through with this. I started thinking, what is the difference between the beheading of James Foley and the targeting of innocent people that the United States does on a regular basis, and Israel does? I read 2 days before I read about Jim Foley, I read about one of the leaders of Hamas was targeted in Gaza, and the Israelis unleashed their missile. The Hamas leader wasn't there, but his wife and his little, 2-year-old kid was blown to pieces. And other than the usual shock about the killing of civilians, nothing. And I start thinking about how we will target a gathering of people. A U.S. drone will pick up pictures of a gathering someplace in a village, and it will be at the house or near the house of someone that the U.S. government wants to kill. And a drone with a Hellfire missile will be sent up and then fired. And the 8 or 10 children that are burned alive when that thing hits, the 6 or 7 adults who will be blown into mist when that thing hits are not even, I mean, there's no names, there's nothing. We read about that or we hear about it, and we say to each other, Jesus, God, Obama ought to be impeached for that. Oh my God, more war crimes. But it doesn't register. I mean, not with the full force of watching a really innocent, just like these kids, just like these adults are that we blow into pieces, having his head cut off. Those kids are innocent too. Those adults are innocent. And I immediately start thinking about, religion from my grandmother's point of view. As ye sow, so shall you reap. An eye for an eye. Live by the sword, die by the sword. I mean, just on and on and on. I'll tell you, this has been, this is not about me. It's about the Foley family. But I'm talking from my goddamn little cubic centimeter of consciousness in this universe. It's not even that big. In that little teeny centimeter of consciousness, this has been a mind F of a day for me. Just completely stunned by this, by the beheading and the thoughts that I had right after it. What is the difference between their acts of terror and our acts of terror? What is the difference?